Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berea City Council meeting Tuesday, June the 6th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time I'd call on Jim Davis to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Jim?
Will you bow your heads and pray with me, please? Our Father and our God, we thank you for this day and the blessings of life. We thank you for the work session that we just had in trying to come up with a solution for our employees. We ask that you watch over the city, its administration, its council members, its department heads and employees. Guide and protect them. All these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Stand and recite the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Let's get the hell out of here.
Thank you, Jim. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve by David Rowlett? Is there a second? By Katie Startzman. Any discussion on the agenda? Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 16th, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve by Jerry Little? Is there a second by Teresa Centers? Any discussion on the agenda, corrections that are needed, edits? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes from May 16th, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, we had scheduled President Roelofs to be here with us tonight. This is actually his last month as the 11th president of Berea College. I'd asked him and Lori to come. He had a situation come up where he had to cancel, so we'll try to get that rescheduled hopefully before they leave and retire. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 04-2023. This is the fiscal year 2024 budget, and this is the first reading. Mr. Gilbert.
An ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky adopting the annual budget for the fiscal period July 1, 2023 through June the 30th, 2024 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government and providing for a long-range capital improvement project and public facilities improvement program, budget, and plan. Whereas an annual budget proposal and message has been prepared and delivered to the City Council, and whereas the City Council has reviewed such budget proposal and made necessary modifications, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Berea, Kentucky, as follows. Section 1, that the budget for the fiscal period beginning July 1, 2023 through July 30th, 2024 is hereby enacted as follows for all city funds and is summarized as follows. Governmental funds, general fund, beginning fund balance estimated $17,771,000. Total revenue, $17,140,000. Total expenditures, $19,269,000. Revenue under expenses, $2,129,000. Ending fund balance, $14,942,000. Proprietary fund. Total operating revenue, $19,125,500. Total operating expenses, $17,666,000. Income from operations, $1,458,000. Deficit from rate revenue, $418,000. Grants and contributed capital, $1,220,000. Total capital expenses, $14,773,000. Net cost for capital additions, $13,553,000. Section 2, The fee schedule by department is set out in the appendix, is adopted and ratified for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Section 3, that the long-range capital project and public facilities improvement program budget and plan, more particularly set out in the appendix, is adopted by reference herein. Section 4, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. This ordinance shall be effective the first day of July 2023. This ordinance shall be published according to law.
And this is the first reading with the second reading scheduled for our next meeting on June 20th, 2023. But per past practice, I will open the floor for any comments or discussion. Any comments, discussion on the first reading? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward. Tonight we have department head reports, and the featured department head for tonight is the man in the booth, Daniel Brinley. Daniel always takes care of us and makes sure that the recording equipment's on, and here he comes like Superman out of the booth. Daniel, welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Don't have too much to tell you today. Most of my life lately has been consumed by something you've probably seen constantly on my reports. The first one of those being our phone system. So I've been working probably the last 3 weeks identifying with Windstream on what every phone in the city does and what happens when you call it, what happens when they don't answer, how many times it rings. So I've been doing that for probably 3 weeks, to the point I don't want to look at another spreadsheet for a while. And then we just got in a new asset system. So we got that installed. The police are already set up and using it. We got all our users set up in there. The last part for my side is to get our printer working to where we can start printing our own tags. But we have some spreadsheets that we've imported into there from our previous system that was kind of just things that we knew of, that we copied serial numbers. But this is going to be a more official, it'll generate reports. So once I get my printer working, hopefully we'll have that by the end of this week. Currently it prints up and down instead of left and right, which doesn't really work when you have a label. So once that's going, we'll be going department by department and tagging all their equipment for them so that everything's set up, and then we'll try to keep it up from there. So like I said, I didn't have too much because those things have been consuming my life. We recently got in, this was also, I think, on my previous one, that we were looking for an in-house backup solution. So we have ordered that, just due to shipping complications and getting parts. They had to send that in multiple pieces. So we actually got in our last part at the end of last week. So we're hoping to install at least the hardware component of the backup system next week, and then hopefully the week after, or in 2 weeks, get the software component going to where it'll start storing all of our data. If you want to know more information about that, I can tell you offline. There's some things that I'd rather not say on the air for everybody to know about that. So but that's all I really got. It was mostly been phone systems and asset management systems. Like I said, if I don't see another spreadsheet ever again, that'd be all right with me.
And I can testify that Daniel stays busy, guys. So any questions for Daniel? Jim?
You mentioned tagging.
Yes.
What is that?
So we can print our own property tags once I get my printer working. So then on anything of value for the city, obviously I more care about computers and electronics, but it can tag anything. So like part of what I'll do is I'll go around to all departments. I'll pick on my department first. So any laptop, cell phone, anything that, for example, if I were to leave, anything that the city should expect back from me should be tagged. In our new asset system, you can actually pull up my name, and then you would see everything that's associated with me. So there's not going to be a guessing game in, oh, Daniel turned in a laptop and a cell phone, when in actuality I have a laptop, a cell phone, iPad, my whole setup. So there won't be any guessing. So then in the tagging for that, we have our own printer that can print our own tags. They can be custom to the department, and then they have a barcode, and we have a mobile barcode scanner, so we can take this anywhere in the city. And the barcode scanner is sort of like a custom built cell phone. So it contacts the asset system as long as it's on our network. Obviously it won't work at my house or something like that. But I can ring this up anywhere on our network in the city and it'll pull up that list, or depending on what we do, like you said, if you selected me and you scanned one of my items, if we set that item up as a group, it'll pull up everything. It might say, oh, well, you scanned one cell phone, but he also has these 5 other items.
Katie?
I think Ronnie was getting ready to ask a question.
Sure, Ronnie, and
Are
then
you gonna set up time for us to bring our computers for you, tag them? or-
Yes, and I don't care to come to you guys. I try to make it as easy as possible.
Can you do it in a council meeting?
Yeah, I can. Like I said, once I get my printer going, I'll print
Well,
off.
you'll tell us when to
Yeah, because I know what everybody has basically. So then what I'll do is I'll print the labels in advance and then bring them and then put them on while you guys are here. And I'll give you a heads up that way you know to bring them. So
I always bring mine.
okay, Katie?
That sounds really exciting and cool. Like, good work working on that. Did you mention that you're going to be collaborating with the police department to kind of manage that? It seems like a large project to like keep track of all of the stuff once you get it all.
So there's a lot of stuff that police has that I don't manage. Yeah, so they have access as well administratively to that because police is also entering in guns and things like that, things that I don't want to manage. So police, the major in that position, has been working really heavily with us to learn the asset system. So he was in the trainings as well. And then we can also bounce ideas off each other. So we were all in there together when we set up at least the core infrastructure of how everything would be labeled. And then he's going on his side doing the things that I wouldn't necessarily have access to because it would kind of be weird for me to ask every officer to bring in their gun and let me see it. So he's been doing that side.
Questions or comments for Daniel?
problem.
And I will note that Daniel is, I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
That's fine. On that, I assume we're not tagging each and every item. Is there a minimal value that you're trying to, maybe 100, 500? What?
I don't know that we have a dollar amount. Electronic wise, it's going to be all of them probably, regardless of price. And then we can also go by department because there might be something for the codes department that maybe I'm not familiar with, something that they deem is important as well. And then high value ticket items regardless, but I don't know that we've set a dollar amount yet.
And I was just gonna note that, for the record, that Daniel's department is a department of two with him and Tommy, and they do a great job. They
Thank you
do
very much.
more with two guys, more than a lot of people do with 10, so.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate all you guys do, and thanks for the update.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, back to Superman's booth. Thank you, Daniel. Would any other department heads like to address the council? I see Fire Chief Sean Sandlin. Sean, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Ms. Beverly. Last night, we had a major fire at Novellis, and I just want to recognize our guys, our staff, and our gals at the department. Done an excellent job. We was there from 3:30 to about 11 last night fighting that fire. Got some amazing pictures that I can share with each one of you if you're interested. But I also want to recognize our partnership with our Richmond Fire Department and Madison County Fire Department. They've done an excellent job. They come and supported us. They come and covered the city while we was out there fighting that. And Madison County actually showed up with an engine down on the scene also, along with Kirksville Fire and Red Lake Fire. So it was a all-in effort. Every member of my department showed up last night to help in that, except for one, and he's in Florida. So that's a great testament when you get off-duty response that drops everything on their time and comes in to help on a fire like this issue. So I just want to recognize their partnership, more or less, in the effort that was given out last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean, and I'll note it related to that I talked to somebody from Madison County that came and was on scene, and when we were talking about it, really when you look at the level of cooperation between the City of Berea, City of Richmond, Madison County, all of our volunteer departments, and Army Depot, we probably have the best fire coverage of anybody in the state right here in Madison County, and that's a testament to you and the other cities and the county as well for being willing to work together and having the mutual aid agreement. So appreciate that. Appreciate all your peers in the other municipalities as well. Thank you. Any other department heads that would like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, I will acknowledge that our Tourism Commission chair's here, Bill West. Bill, welcome. And would any members of the public like to address the council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward to the city administrator's report, and I'll recognize Rose Beverly. Rose, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. So I just want to bring this up on behalf of the Codes Department. As you know, they've been working very, very hard. I know she talked about this on her report, but getting that new software up and running has been an incredible feat. And one of the reasons why it's so hard is because we're really customizing it to Berea. If you just get like, your standard software and you put it in, it just won't work as well. I mean, you can do that, but you get a lot of complaints from the public because it won't really be what they're used to. And this software in particular has been very complicated because they put so much work into making it be everything that Berea needed it to be. And I can't tell you how proud I am of her and her team for all the work they're putting into this, because they're not taking it lightly. And there's also a lot of other departments that are working on that as well, and they're all working together, utilities and finance, and trying to make this really be a good thing for Berea and to help our citizens be able to get what they need in a more easy, more efficient manner, and keeping up with the times, So Amanda, all she asked me to say was this, but I obviously went on a lot more. She asked me to mention that our new online permitting and code violation portal will be going online July 5th. And they've been putting overtime and they've been working so hard. So thank you for that. We're excited about that. And I have another exciting piece of information that happened today, at least for me, and it probably will be for you as well. Allen Company came and visited with us today, and they're set, I believe, is it next Thursday and Friday that you guys, it's earlier than I thought. That's even more exciting. So this Thursday, Friday, they're going to begin work on our streets with all of the projects that you approved for them to be doing and that we got in the RFP. So really excited to get that done. We were starting to kind of feel the time crunch, weren't we, Susan? Like, oh, we put all this in this budget, but they said they're not going to have a problem meeting the time. So that's been a pretty good day for us, and that's all I have. I can take questions if you have any for me.
Ronnie, and then we'll come to Cora Jane.
Did they give you an update on the bypass?
Did not talk to them about the bypass today. I don't know if you know anything, Mayor.
Ronnie, I don't have anything new. The last that I had was June 30th, but it doesn't look like they're going to meet that. I think that they pulled all their resources to do I-75, because originally I'd heard that could go through September, and they pretty well have it done. There is design, it's in design, and they've purchased right away to create a roundabout at 1016 as a traffic control device. And I think that, from what I'm told, that can be built very quickly. So I'm hopeful that it won't take too much longer than June 30th, but I don't have a completion date from them yet. And that's KYTC and the Allen Company working together.
The word going
State
around
Road.
was after school was out, they was going to start that roundabout.
Yeah, I think that they will. I think probably the school traffic would have an impact on that. So hopefully we'll see a little more action on that soon. And they may get it done by the end of June. I think they'll run into July myself. Let me come to Cora Jane, and then I'll come to you, Jerry, and we'll just go around the...
Ronnie asked my question,
He stole it.
so.
It's a
let's
good question.
Jerry, you had something for
I just want to say one thing. Rose, I want to compliment you on the Allen Company and getting our streets fixed before it starts snowing like it used to be. And I really appreciate that, and I think everybody else appreciate it. I think they'll last better, hold better, and thank you, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate that.
other questions or comments for Rose?
We'll have one. I just want to add one thing. The pictures that Sean has, I do suggest you look at that. That was a pretty incredible. I know that they've done it, but I've never seen. I know that's happened with you guys before, but take a look at those because they are remarkable. So thank you very much. I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you, Rose. Next item on the agenda is mayor's comments. What I would like to start with is in your original packet that was sent out last Friday was a resolution. Just to put it on everybody's radar screen, we changed that to next meeting, so that'll be on June the 20th. Lucas Witt, who is an economic development consultant that helps us with our larger industry, will be here to do a work session on that resolution. You have it. I'd encourage you to take a look at that. Another expansion of an existing industry that we'll announce on June the 20th but more good news for the city of Berea and for our young folks and folks going into the workforce. So that resolution 09-2023 will be taken up at our next meeting. Also, I report to you any appointments that I make to boards and commissions. One that I made is for the Human Rights Commission, Felicia Ballard. It's a Berea resident to a 3-year term on the Berea Human Rights Commission. And Ms. Ballard has been working at EKU and will make a great commissioner on that particular board. Also, something I want you to be thinking about is the 4th of July is a Tuesday. That would be when we would normally meet. So I think anybody has ideas, I'm all ears, and then we can maybe decide at the next meeting. We won't make decisions offline, but we'll make that in public about what we want to do with the meeting on the 4th. I think we got a couple options. One is we could cancel, or we could reschedule that and have a special call meeting in lieu of. And I'm kind of good either way, but if y'all have any strong feelings on that, be thinking about it, and you can let me know what you think, and we'll bring that up maybe at the next meeting on how we want to proceed. The other thing is we did have the work session tonight with a pay study, and James Arndt, who has been a city administrator for many years and actually was a city administrator in the state of Kentucky in Paducah, is the consultant that we had for that. I think several people, I know Jerry complimented him and me as well. I thought that he really laid out the study and the methodology behind the study, which is something that we needed. I think that we were all kind of looking at some of the numbers, but we needed to know what was behind the numbers and what was behind the study. I also want to compliment our city administrator, Rose Beverly. It really didn't occur to me, and I probably knew this, it had been 12 years since our last pay and classification study. 12 years is a long time to wait, so we were way overdue. One of the reasons that I really wanted to bring Rose in is for which she would see things with fresh eyes and see things like this that needed to be done, and that she's done in other positions. And she recognized the need for this and pressed forward with it. I think we picked the right person to do the study. He's done other studies for cities around the Commonwealth. And again, he recommended tonight, and this is something I didn't know, that we do this every 3 years. Also, I know that there's been a lot leading up to this, and as I looked at it, I also appreciate the concerns, the input, the questions from the council as well, because ultimately this is a council decision on the budget. But what that goes back, that can always cause stress anytime that we have change. It can cause us, to feel good or to feel bad about pay, or makes you worry about, can we afford it, and what do we need to do, and what can we afford to do. But I think ultimately when we look back on this, that's what making good public policy is all about. When you have involvement from multiple sources, including our employees who participated in the surveys. So I'm optimistic after tonight's work session that before we meet at the next time in council, that we will hopefully be able to get together in another public session and maybe really examine what we want to do. What can we afford? What do we want to do? What can we afford to do? And look at the different options. Because what I'm seeing coming out of this, I'm more optimistic coming out of that meeting than I was going in, is that I see solutions and ideas that were presented by council members, by the presenter, and by Rose during that session. Long story short is that's how good policy is made, is when everybody's involved and everybody has a say and everybody's respected. So I appreciate everybody that's had input into this process. That concludes my comments. We'll move to council comments, and we're going to begin with Ron Terrell.
I was real disappointed that you didn't do a pay study on council members and the mayor, but I'm sure we'll get to that next. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Ronnie. And I'm going to skip Cora Jane, and I'll tell you why in a minute, and come to Jerry Little. Jerry, you have the floor.
Well, I've got good stuff to say.
All right.
I want to talk about the budget just a little bit. I don't want the newspaper to write in the budget that we spent $2 million more than we've got.
It's not true.
That is not correct. We started out with a fund balance of $17 million, That was a start, and then our revenues is another 17. And short the story up, our expenditures are 19 million, which that's $2 million over our revenue, but we had 17,000 when we started. So our ending fund balance at the end of the 24 budget should be $15 million. Okay? So we didn't spend more than we took in. We had savings of about 17 million to start with, okay, from the previous years. So I don't want nobody thinking that we're going broke. We're in pretty good shape. That's all I've got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jerry. Next will come David Routt. David, you have the floor, sir.
A couple of things.
Check your mic.
I certainly appreciated the insight into the pay study and things. It's now clear as mud, and I think that it would be very productive for our council to have a chance to sit down for an hour and talk among ourselves. I would certainly welcome that. The other thing is, I understand most of our folks realize that the bypass was to be done in June. We've heard that all along. It may very well make the June deadline, but we've got a lot of folks who are exploring the bypass, and living out near there, I see things like drag racing at midnight. I see Sunday afternoon, I met a semi, truck and trailer there at the intersection of old 25 and the bypass. He had got on out at Silver Creek Church and come all the way across through there. We're just looking at potential accidents and things if we can't get that done. Now, Mayor today has talked to the folks with Allen Company and the state. Hopefully that's going to be a little better, but I would encourage you, if you're passing through what I call the Dukes of Hazzard launching pads, that you slow down and look both ways and be prepared to deal with that traffic. There's a lot of things that happen out there, and I mean, we can tolerate walkers and people riding their mini bikes and things like that, but we certainly don't need semis crossing that bypass at this time. So, thank you.
Thank you, David. Next we'll go to Katie Starsman. Katie, you have the floor.
I am really grateful for the wage study, and I just remember that the first meeting I had with Administrator Beverly, I asked her, like, what are the projects you want to work on, or what do you see as the gaps in the city? And doing a wage study that was current and modern and in relationship to our peers was one of the things, like the first thing that she identified in our meeting. And she said, yeah, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a little while to get that going. But like, I just think it's really exciting that we're doing this. I think we always talk about how valuable our employees are. And I think that if we truly want to have tip-top employees and continue to recruit and retain high-quality staff, it's really important to pay them well and to pay them fairly and equitably. So I'm really grateful for this work, and I missed part of the work session, but I really appreciate David's suggestion. I think it would be great to have more conversation about it, because it is definitely a complex issue, but I'm very grateful for where we're started on this conversation, so thanks.
Thank you, Katie. Next we'll move to Teresa Centers. Teresa, you have the floor.
I agree that we definitely need to get this ironed out before the final reading of the budget, and I too was glad to be able to hash it around, and maybe some solutions are emerging that won't be so immediate. But as a city, fortunately, not unfortunately, fortunately, we don't print our own money here like they do in Washington. So we have to work with what we have to work with, and there's a reason that the general public thinks that government is run away, and that people who work and live in government don't live in the real world. And I want us to remember the people who live in the real world, and I am so grateful for every person that works for this city. We have talented, committed, wonderful people here, but the average teacher in Berea makes about $46,000, and the average factory worker in Berea makes about $37,000. The average office worker in Berea makes between $24,000 and $33,000 a year. And the average Berea city worker makes $53,000 a year today, and I'm so grateful for that. And they have wonderful benefits, and I'm grateful for that too. I'm glad that we can do all that, but let's just keep in mind that if we do things that last into the future without a way to pay for it, and we do have the money to pay for it right now, but the future's the future. That fire out at Novellis last night, what if it had been worse? What if Novellis had to shut down for a year before they built back, or it was such a bad deal that they left? What if we lost that revenue? I think we have to think into the future, and again, I'm grateful for Rose's foresight in doing the studies, and they need to be done. I just want us to remember that we have to be realistic. Thank you all.
Thank you, Teresa. Next, we'll move to Jim Davis. Jim?
I enjoyed the work session this evening. I'm kind of like David. It's clear as mud, but it's clearer than it was. And I too think that we need to have another conversation before we vote on it in the budget. Sean, thank you for your all's effort last night at Novellis. You didn't get your white uniform dirty, did you? A little bit? Okay. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And for the last word, Cora Jane Wilson. Go ahead, Jerry. She's going to yield to you. Cora Jane gets the last word.
I just forgot to mention something. I want to thank y'all, the administration, Rose and the mayor, for having a meeting tonight about the pay grades. You know, communication and transparency, if you've got that, you can get things done. And I feel like it was a good meeting. I think we understand more, but we need to have another one. I think we're going to have, and I just thank y'all. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Jerry. And for the last word, Cora Jane.
They all know I've been working for 2 days at my house and I'm exhausted. My legs hurt, my arms hurt. But anyway, I just had a birthday not long ago too. But anyway, I just want to thank everybody, our city employees, our staff. Rose, thank you. Even though we don't always agree, I don't mean I don't love you. So I always remember that. But thank you, department heads, for all you all do. And as the guy called me out as the one that used to work here, retired, I appreciate you. I mean, like, whole heart, I appreciate every employee, everyone. I started here in the 80s, and I've seen it when we picked up garbage. We had our own garbage trucks here. Been through it. But I appreciate what you all do, and I wish we could give you the moon, but I just want to be a good steward of the taxpayers' money too at the same time. And hopefully we'll get this resolved by the next meeting, council meeting, and it'll all be good. So thank you all for what you do. Sean, fire department, y'all are awesome. Thank you for taking care of us, because like Teresa said, you know, if we lost a factory, Susan knows we could be in Dutch trouble. So thank you all.
Thank you, Cora Jane. That brings us to the end of the agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? By Jerry Little, second by Teresa Centers. All in favor of the motion